Hey, welcome to God Doesn't Say That, where we talk about lies that we've been believing and the truth that sets us free. That was so normal. I did that really normal.
You did a really good job. I'm so proud of her. So God's word tells us that we can take every thought captive and make it obey Christ.
Oh, yeah.
But, I mean, I grew up in church. I've heard that my whole life. And I'm like, okay, great. What does that even mean, right? Like, what does it mean to take every thought captive and then make it obey Christ, right? Well, it means we can take a lie that we are believing and say that's a lie. God doesn't say that. And if it is something that you're like, God doesn't say that, then that's a lie. And Satan is tempting you to believe that lie. So we can take that lie and we can say, God doesn't say that, and replace it with God's truth, God's word from the Bible. This process of uprooting lies and replacing them with God's truth will renew our minds and guide us to seeing God accurately and ourselves accurately and others accurately.
Oh, yeah. So, Rebecca, what is a lie that you have been believing this week?
Yeah, I think something I struggle to believe, a lie I struggle to believe all the time, that I often believe, I guess, is that I have to have it all together. But God doesn't say that I have to have it all together. So I shouldn't, and we shouldn't either, because God doesn't say that. Through faith, we get to say we're held. We're held together by Him.
And guess what? In 2 Corinthians 4, 7 through 9, it says, we now have this light shining in our hearts, but we ourselves are like fragile clay jars containing this great treasure. So guess what? You have a great treasure inside through faith. This makes it clear that our great power is from God, not ourselves. We may be pressed on every side by troubles, which is certainly true this year, but we are not crushed. We're perplexed, but not driven to despair. We are hunted down. Boy, are we ever. Never abandoned by God. We get knocked down, but we're not destroyed. And at times, we may be a little fragile. Like this year,
Yeah.
I'm like, why is that bothering me? I just had to tell her, don't tap your toe on that thing. I don't know why it's bothering me.
I'm still doing it too.
But it's 2020. I don't know. I was like,
She's like noticing it. And I'm like,
I know. Well, and as someone, and I'm telling you, if I can do this, you can do this, because I have OCD. I can, and that's why I can tell when I'm stressed, because I'm like, I usually wouldn't notice that if I weren't stressed, but I'm like, I must be stressed. We're all a little fragile sometimes.
Yes.
So we're like hanging on by a thread, but we can trust that God's got us. Mm-hmm. And it really is true. We can take those thoughts and give them to Him. We are the boss of our thought. We can control our thoughts.
Yeah.
So we're not called to have it all together. We're not, but we're called to release it all together and let Him hold it.
Yes. Yeah, release it to Him and let Him hold it.
Yeah.
It's like that song, like when you're little, you might have heard this song, you know, He's got the whole world in His hands. He's got you and me in His hands, you know, like it's so true though, like He literally has us in His hands, like He's got this. And that's actually a truth I tell myself a lot when I start feeling like I'm hanging on by a thread, I can't do this, I'm drowning, I'm floundering. I feel like I hear God like, Rebecca, I got it. Like, you don't have to have it all together. I got it. I got you in my hands. I got all of it in my hands. It's all good. I got you. And it makes me feel very safe.
I love that. It's like you can feel fragile, but that doesn't mean you're like...
That you are. Like,
yeah, you're
God's
like,
got you.
Yeah, I love that so much. So what lies are you believing? I mean, we all do it sometimes. We all
got it, yeah.
Write them down next to each lie so that you can see it. I love doing this. I write down the lie, and then next to it I write the truth of what God says. So if you need help finding truth to combat the lie that you're believing, check out our app. Yep. You can look up verses for every emotion. So I do this myself all the time. You'd think I'd like get tired of it, but no. So you look up the emotion and then write down a verse that helps you out. And if you need help, just reach out to us. But the truth is you were made on purpose and for a purpose.
Yes, and remember, through Jesus, we can uproot those lies and we can replace them with godly truths. We can replace them with God's truth that we find in the Bible. So also make sure you have someone in your life that can keep you accountable to this. Someone that's safe, that you love, that can speak truths into your life and you're not going to get offended or hurt, that can say, hey, that's a lie. Now tell me the truth. And that you can really hear that and listen to it and be like, you know what, that's right. Like, I'm telling myself a lie and I need to replace it with God's truth.
And we're here to help you find someone if you don't have someone in your life. Because I can tell Rebecca little things like, hey, I'm feeling really stressed right now, because we're close and we have a safe relationship. So if you're lacking that in your life, you don't have to. Just reach out to us and we'd love to get you connected.
Yeah.
So this is Katie and Rebecca helping you remember who God says you are.
Exactly. And we hope that you feel encouraged to overcome the lies of the world with God's truth this week.